Hey guys, Spirit of the Law here. If you've been feeling kind of lucky these days with conversions, you're definitely not alone. At first I thought it was because Definitive Edition is usually played at 1.7 speed and HD was 1.5 by default. But even after getting used to that, it still feels like conversions are happening faster than I'm used to. I thought I'd investigate to see if it's just all in my mind or if something has actually changed. Now, conversions have an element of randomness to them, so finding what could be a small difference in conversion time averages would require both a precise way to measure time and the ability to test it on a large scale. Getting a lot of monks to convert at the same time is pretty easy, but then there's the big problem of how to measure fractions of a second in the game. You could use a stopwatch, but I've never had to do that in a video before, and I didn't plan to start now. Now, the solution to this is pretty ingenious, and the best I can tell, it's been around since before 2008. It was used by someone named Neil Kaz to look at the conversion mechanic and involves queuing up a villager. Since a villager takes 25 seconds to create, every percentage increase represents a quarter of a second. It's not a perfect timer, but much more precise than the regular in-game one. I also added a trigger to remove knights as they're converted, just so it's easier to see new ones that are changing color. I can then record the screen and watch it back frame by frame if I need to see at what time they're being converted. Now, one thing that makes all of this a little easier is monks aren't constantly converting. It's more like they make an attempt at a conversion roughly every second. That means there's only certain times that a conversion can happen, making it easy to know when to look for them. After looking at a sample of 100 conversion times, this is the result I found. You can see in Definitive Edition the fastest conversions take about 4.5 seconds. I found about a quarter of conversions happened at that time, and you can consider the time before that to be the monk warming up. After that, you can see every second, or slightly more than a second, you get another round of conversions, up to 11 seconds, at which point any units that haven't been converted just give up and switch over. The average time I found was about 7 seconds. Now, I'm not really after the conversion mechanic here, though already this is revealing a few things about it. Instead, I wanted to know how the same test looks in HD, or AOE2 2013 if you prefer the new name. Doing the same experiment in HD, I found noticeably slower conversion times. We get the same general pattern of what's called a geometric distribution, but with the right tail cut off, though this time the fastest conversions happened at 5 seconds, with the longest taking about 12.5. Overall, the average time for conversion was about 7.9. That means conversions in Definitive Edition seem to be just under 1 second shorter on average, or about 11% faster, with the maximum time for a conversion being affected the most, dropping by about 1.5 seconds. To put that into perspective, it takes a fully upgraded Castle Age Knight about 7 seconds to kill a monk from full health. That means even if you start converting at point blank range, you have almost a 60% chance of making the conversion in Definitive Edition. Whereas in HD, the chance of the monk surviving was more like 46%, give or take. Any conversion can have a big impact, since it means not only you're taking a unit away from your opponent, but now it's a unit they have to fight. Depending on how much damage you can do with it, converting an enemy unit can end up costing your opponents several more. I also took a quick look at buildings and found a very similar thing. I used a pretty small sample size, but on average I found it was about 3 seconds faster to convert a building in Definitive Edition, with the shortest and longest times being reduced. So if you were wondering whether you were getting more conversions in Definitive Edition because of a bit more luck or skill, it turns out it was neither. Monks are just a little faster at it now. Conversions are obviously still very luck-based, and monks have limitations when it comes to micro, but this just makes them a bit better when defending against knights or when attacking in combination with siege. That's all for this one though. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.